boogity, 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 get up on your feet.
Well, hello. Man, did I miss you guys. Had to take a week off last week. We do all of our recording here at the house in Franklin, and I was in Charlotte for 2 weeks, so sorry I didn't get to you last week, but man, oh man. You know when Mike and Larry and I are in the booth and something happens like we've never seen before, and Mike says, "Have you ever?" And of course we always respond by, "No, I've never." Well, that's kind of like the last 10 days, last 2 weeks has been for me. Being in Charlotte for 2 weeks, watching the All-Star race, watching Carl Edwards dominate the All-Star race, but then the race is over, for heaven's sake. Coming around for a little victory celebration. Now these things get out of hand sometimes. I've seen drivers, you know, over-rev the engines, blow them up. I've seen them tear the tires up and rip quarter panels off their cars, but I never saw anything as bizarre as what Carl did. Comes off the track, slides her out into the grass, hits a, I thought he hit a manhole, but they say it wasn't, there's nothing there, but it was just a dip in the grass. And that splitter is mean. That thing is, it'll rip the nose right off the car, just like you saw it do. Thing dug in the grass, ripped that nose right off that car and destroyed that poor old race car. And there stood Carl, well, he wasn't standing actually, he was flipping, $1.2 million richer with a torn up race car. You talking about good news, bad news. That was just the All-Star race. So then we moved forward a little bit, okay? So we moved forward to the next week. And we saw some great racing in the Saturday race, but Sunday is, I said it, I'll say it again, I'll say it until the day I die. Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day, the racing that day is by far away my favorite day of the year as far as a race fan. Monaco, I had breakfast in Monaco. I was sitting out on my yacht having a beignet and a glass of wine. I wish. But I wasn't. I was sitting in my motor coach in Charlotte in the infield. But nonetheless, that race, bizarre. I mean, when they stopped the race right at the end, and they don't stop races very often. They just barely gotten to where they put a safety car out. They stopped the race. Now for us NASCAR folks, they say, "Hey man, you can't work on your car." They let them do whatever they want to do. They fix a wing on a car, they put tires on it, they do whatever they want to do. And I like that. You know why I like that? Because it's the same for everybody. Do whatever you can do in the allotted amount of time, and when we go back to racing, get your best hold. And that's what they did. And old Vettel, he's just dominating that series. He's killing them every week. I think that's 7 out of 8 races that he's won. So in the last 8 races. So he's got that thing covered, Red Bull. But then we go to Indy. And you know, a lot of these races, you sit back and you say, watch a little of the Formula One race. Well, that's boring. I'll do something else. I'll come back. That Formula One race wasn't boring. Fast forward to Indy. And man, the pomp and circumstance. I love, you know, Jim Neighbors back home again in Indiana. The national anthem, Kelly Clarkson and the guy she sang with knocked it out of the park. I love that national anthem. And then the race starts. And of course they were doing double file restarts like we've been doing for the last year or so. And the drivers are all up in arms. Oh, that's not going to work. That's going to be disastrous. It's going to wreck the whole field. I never saw so much racing on restarts. That one restart, they came down that front straightaway. They were, I don't know how wide you can get. I don't know how many wide you can get in an Indy car, but the whole track was covered. And they looked like ants. They were going everywhere. I'd never seen anything like it. And you got to admit that that added a huge element of excitement to the race. It comes down to the end. And by the way, Penske and Ganassi, the 2 kings of that series, did they have miserable days or what? Mistakes in the pits, wheels coming off. Things happen to those guys that never happened to them. And what did that do? That opened the door for a rookie. A rookie's leading the race. White flag in the air, 4-second lead. All you got to do is stay out of trouble, dude. Just hit your marks. You don't have to do anything special. You can ease up a little bit. Just hit your marks. What do you hit? The dadgum wall. Coming off turn 4. But now I will say, and I was a little upset about this, I don't know who the slow car was that was in the groove, but that dude should have known the leader was coming, and he should have gotten out of the way. and give the leader a little more room. But when Hildebrand goes into the fourth turn, got a 4-second lead, ease it around there. Don't get up, don't get too high. He gets in the loose stuff, hits the wall. Here he comes. Here comes Dan Weldon. I like old Danny, good boy. Here he comes. I'd have liked to seen the caution come out quicker. You know, if they flashed the caution, Hildebrand could have still won because you can't pass another caution. They didn't, and Weldon wins, and the rookie runs second. You know, there might be a reason why rookies don't win big races. I'm just saying, there might be a reason. Now, for the grand finale, we had a breakfast in Monaco, lunch in Indy. Let's finish it off with supper in Charlotte. So we go to Charlotte, high anticipation, high expectation that this is going to be one of the wildest, craziest, funnest 600-mile races we've ever seen. You know what it was? It was all those things. Plus, it was the longest one we've ever seen. That was the longest 600 miles in history. You'd think that'd be boring. It wasn't. It just kept building and building and building. There were more scenarios, more plots changing and plot thickening than I've seen in a 600-mile race ever. They had leaders, guys get out there and lead a while and they'd have trouble. Somebody get out and lead a while, they'd have trouble. And then it came down to what people consider, a lot of people do, fuel mileage and the strategy that goes into all that. Well, the fuel mileage is a part of racing. You gotta have good fuel mileage. And if you don't, you're not gonna win. And listen, remember this, it's not always the fastest guy that wins. It's the guy that gets there first. It's not about how fast your car is. Fastest car is good to have. That's a good, kind of an insurance policy. But it's the guy that gets there first that wins the race. So we come down the end of the race. And what about Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch? Two best cars in the All-Star race. Ran first and second. Probably two of the worst cars Sunday night in a 600-mile race. Go figure. You'd think you win the week before that you come back, you'd have the dominant car again. Carl looked like he did early. Kyle never did. He lost the handle, spun out twice, wrecked his car, parked it. Jimmy Johnson, 5-time. He blew an engine. He blew up one of Rick Hendrick's engines. You can't do that. That tells you how bizarre a night it was. And poor old Greg Biffle, they were trying to barbecue him on a holiday. They had everything but the grill, I guess. Listening to him, his old cool box wouldn't work, and he was furious. He was burning up in that race car. But it comes down to what? Green, white, checkered. What we all like. You know, the thing's got to finish under green, right? And fuel mileage is a big factor, and I just said, words hardly come out of my mouth. If one of these guys up front runs out of gas, look out, because it's probably going to cause a big crash. Casey Kane, Dale Jr., they restart the race. Casey Kane runs out of gas in front of the field. Causes a big wreck, spins out the 31 car, and other cars get damaged. Cars spinning, cars smoking, and we're going green, and we're coming to the white. And here comes Dale Jr., and he's going to win his first race in 104 races. And the fans going wild. The place, people are screaming, cheering. And he takes the white flag, and the track's clear. NASCAR decided that the track was clean. They didn't need to throw a caution. Dale Jr.'s on his way. He's going to win his first race in about 3 years. And everybody's happy. Come down the back, got a huge lead, coast, man. You can just about coast home. Here comes old Kevin Harvick. He's been laying in the weeds all day long. I don't think we mentioned him 5 times all day long. But here he comes. He's trailing on behind Junior. Junior goes in the third turn. I said, folks, I thought Dale Jr., I thought he was being careful. His car slowed when he went in the third turn. I thought he was just taking it easy because he had that kind of lead. He wasn't taking it easy. He was out of gas. He comes off turn 4, he quits. Car stops, won't go. Here comes Kevin Harvick, zoom. He goes by and he wins the Coke 600. And I mean, bizarre. Last lap at Indy, Cat got a big lead, crashes. Last lap at Charlotte, Cat's got a big lead, runs out of gas. I mean, does it get any better than that? Is that not the drama of a Memorial Day weekend? Great racing, great suspense, people winning races that maybe they didn't expect to, people losing races that should have won. I love racing. I love it a lot. I love it as much as I think you probably do. And you know what else I love? I love sharing all that with you. And you know what else? We'll do it again next week.